Ladies and gentlemen, we're just following the situation in the Middle East, in the Gulf, the war in Iran, very carefully because it affects the whole world. So many things have been disturbed already. You understand what I'm saying? Oil is just going up everywhere, and then the Hormuz is closed already, and we bring you the best information that we can imagine from experts, from people who know inside out about the stories. And here is a very important conversation I want you to follow because who's benefiting in this war? Who's benefiting? Let's say Germany, the United States was fighting the Russians, right? Kind of proxy. Where in Ukraine? Do you think the Russians were paying a lot of price on that? Yes, America was supplying arms, and then the Ukrainians were destroying themselves in a way by fighting for the sake of America, for the sake of NATO, and all that kind of thing. And nobody knows how the NATO will survive now because Donald Trump is not really very pleased with the NATO and he doesn't care about it. So, what is the situation going to be? What is the situation going to be? What is the strategy of Russia and China in this regard? And how is Israel going to deal with this problem, America included? Here is a very good information I want you to follow.
Iran had been helpful to Russia with the Shahed drone, a technology transfer, which is now built in Russia in stupendous numbers. And I think Iran has received considerable help this time around, not before the June 2025 war, from Russia in the form of technology transfers. We know that there are aircraft transfers going on and air defense systems and the like, also from China. Neither China nor Russia wishes to see Iran subjugated by Israel. Both of them have a stake in maintaining good relations with the Gulf Arabs, and so they abstained on the resolution in the Security Council.
Oh, probably the best moment for Russia and China in this situation because they sustain it. They want to keep their relationship with the area in general. You understand what I'm saying? And yet, they're supporting Iran. They're giving them information. They're giving them all kind of help they need. Okay, somehow, you understand what I'm saying? They're giving them arms. Also, this is what the ambassador is saying. Let's say it's a blessing in disguise for China and Russia, especially for Russia that was suffering too much in the Ukrainian crisis. Let's go.
Which was one-sided in its condemnation of Iran's attack on the GCC countries, didn't mention that the United States or I should say Israel, assisted by the United States, had inaugurated the war. So they basically didn't want to offend the Gulf Arabs. They certainly didn't want to endorse the war itself, and they just abstained.
I want you to imagine the scene when you meet them.
Have had the effect of drawing Iran and Russia closer. Historically, they were not friends. They are now very cooperative, and in many respects, I think Russian influence is growing in Iran. It will probably grow too afterwards, both Chinese and Russian influence, because the United States and Israel are doing huge damage to infrastructure, edifices, buildings, and so forth in Iran, and it will have to be rebuilt. Let me sort of end this by saying that there's another element here, and that is Iran has officially demanded reparations for the damage, and it is insisting on sanctions relief, which of course it got under the nuclear accord, which Donald Trump tore up in 2018, And the sanctions are the source of a great deal, not all, but a great deal of the distress of the Iranian people. So I think the Russians have a stake in this too. Let me end by just saying,
Ladies and gentlemen, the ambassador is talking about, of course, Russia is getting more influence in the area and probably will go on to the whole region. But definitely in Iran, China too. The political vulgarism of American government, the way I look at it, it's political misadventure everywhere of the United States has really made America, Russia and China close. Before, of course, they used to have some contradictions, some differences, but now they're coming together. And then the situation in Iran, they're just both watching it and taking advantage of. Iran has demanded sanction relief, ladies and gentlemen, as a precondition to stop the war. God knows what it should be, what America should do in this situation, because given a relief in sanctions, we resolve a lot of internal issues in Iraq. But is that all is asking about? Is it also asking for the removal of United States bases from all over the places in the region? We're going to go find out.
of Russia, that Russia's, those Russians I've spoken with, not many, are chortling in their glee. Oil and gas prices are going through the ceiling. I understand the European Union has just decided to take the Arctic gas from Russia, despite its embargo on all energy from Russia earlier, which at least is pragmatic. Of course, the United States, in response to understandable demands from India and others, has suspended the oil sanctions on Russia for some purposes. Qatar has been removed temporarily, at least, as a competitor for Russian gas. Vladimir Putin is playing games with Europeans on the gas issue. And Russian influence, Russian revenues are going up. Finally, this war is a blessing for Russia in terms of Ukraine.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a shift of, it's a paradigm shift altogether. The gas price has caused a lot of problems already. They didn't calculate this one to come. They didn't see it ahead, you see what I'm saying? Because gas prices has forced the European Union to buy Arctic gas from Russia, which was on embargo. Check this out. This is defeatism by itself to me. Dependency on Russia. But then, through India's inquiry, well, the sanction has been released against Russia. You understand what I'm saying? So Qatar has been sacrificed in this situation. Qatar has been sidelined, okay, so that Russia can move in. America is defeated in this situation. European Union is defeated in this situation, so is America. To my understanding, of course, Qatar is sacrificed, and Russia is having fun, unfortunately.
Because the exhaustion of American weapons stockpiles means that there will be no weapons for the United States to sell to Europe for onward passage.
I mean, Russia is making a lot of money at this point, and Russia can also control the situation by pressurizing Europe for whatever it wants.
To Ukraine. So Ukraine is going to get itself disarmed, to some extent at least.
Best way to unclog your arteries?
It's going to happen fairly soon. So if you were sitting in Moscow, said he couldn't imagine how lucky Vladimir Putin had been. Not only quoting Napoleon said, if I must fight, let it be against the coalition, meaning I can do.
Okay, so far, talking about the Ukraine situation, how it's going to be going on from now on. As you know, America was supplying arms, supplying independently. Too many lives have been sacrificed for the Ukraine. It can't be destroyed. I don't even understand how they're going to repair it. See what I'm talking about? But now, keep on supplying the arms he used to give Ukrainians because it's going to fight. It's fighting another war directly in Iraq. And of course, a lot of weapons. I don't know how much we have as Americans. So who is sacrificed here? Ukraine, of course. At some point, America, if this thing continues, will have to stop helping. Actually, it's not helping destroy, self-destruction I'm talking about. Okay, Ukraine to self-destruct more through the arms, so probably good for the Ukrainians too, but very bad for America and very bad for Europeans in view of, the universal politics going on against Russia and China. Unbelievable.
Divide my enemies. But he doesn't even have to.
So what does this mean? Russia can easily defeat now the Ukrainians.
To do that because Donald Trump is dividing the opposition to Russia and simultaneously diminishing American global power, prestige, authority, moral authority, and leadership. What more could you ask? So you said that you thought the conversation had not been friendly, but I'm sure that Vladimir Putin has plenty of reasons to want to encourage Donald Trump to do more of the same.
Can you imagine? He would love him to do more of the things that he's been doing, to do more mistakes, to just keep on fighting, keep on wasting the American resources, weaken himself. And whether he leaves the Ukrainians alone or what, I'm not sure if he wants to put people inside. That's even going to be more disastrous to my understanding, ladies and gentlemen, because it doesn't make sense whatsoever. You see what I'm talking about? He is trapped. He has trapped himself in this situation. Where are we going from here on? And how much money is Russia going to make out of it? And how is Russia going to exploit the situation? And to what extent? And what is the future of American bases in the area? Wow.
It's very good for Russia. It's not good for the United States. No one is going to come out of this war, in my view, except Russia, perhaps, better off than they were when we went into it.
I think Napoleon also said, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake.
Yes, are going up. Finally, this war is a blessing for Russia in terms of Ukraine, because the exhaustion of American weapons stockpiles means that there will be no weapons for the United States to sell to Europe for onward passage to Ukraine. So Ukraine is going to get itself disarmed, to some extent at least, and that's going to happen fairly soon. So if you were sitting in Moscow, you might see this as very favorable. And indeed, one of the people I spoke with said he couldn't imagine how lucky Vladimir Putin had been.
It's like a lotto. It's like winning a lotto. Unexpected surprise, pleasant surprise for him. Unfortunately, at the expense of a lot of damage to the universal community.
Not only quoting Napoleon said, if I must fight, let it be against a coalition, meaning I can divide my enemies. But he doesn't even have to do that because Donald Trump is dividing the opposition to Russia and simultaneously diminishing American global power, prestige, authority, moral authority, and leadership. What more could you ask? So you said that you thought the conversation had not been friendly, but I'm sure that Vladimir Putin has plenty of reasons to want to encourage Donald Trump to do more of the same. It's very good for Russia. It's not good for the United States. no one is going to come out of this war, in my view, except Russia, perhaps, better off than they were when we went into it.
I think Napoleon also said, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake.
Yes, exactly.
That is crazy. Do not interrupt your enemy when he's making mistakes. So let him keep on making mistakes. Just watch him from the start. I have no idea how far this is going to go, my dear friends. But we Americans and the whole world, especially Donald Trump administration, is caught in its own devastating trap.
This has become part of the folklore of statesmanship, and its wisdom is constantly demonstrated by the American administration.
I'm thinking though that one could imagine a situation where suddenly, Iranian missiles purchased or given by Russia would suddenly begin to fly towards Storm Shadow factories in Britain, or some weapon complexes in Germany. It's
Not impossible.
sorry?
It's not impossible.
No.
Especially right now, the NATO is weakened. A lot of problems it's facing. It's been facing since this administration came to power. And then the NATO is not as strong as it used to be, because Donald Trump doesn't believe in this kind of organizations. In the United Nations itself, everything is destroyed at this point in time. There is no universal rule that can be put in practice on the table, on the ground by the United Nations. He doesn't care. So, wow. Russia can't do anything it wants in Russia, in Europe. China can't do that too. I'm not saying literally like that, but I'm just trying to say that the European self-defense through the NATO has been weakened tremendously by the American government. And he is confused now between the European situation and the whole thing. America also. How much is the gas going to be in America anyway? How much? We don't know. How long are we going to be staying in this fighting? And what's going to happen to Israel? It's being bombed now on a daily basis.
So we have it in the United States right now, an example of our failure to understand our own double standards. There's a great a deal of condemnation. Well, my God, the Russians are providing intelligence to the Iranians to enable them to attack Americans. But what do they think we've been doing in Ukraine all this time? One ill turn eventually leads to another, I think.
I think it is a karmic consequence for the Americans as people in other nation actually go on there and bully them everywhere. Bully them. I can do it the way I want it. I don't care about other people's interests. I don't care about bilateral relationship. I am the master. I'm the unit power of the whole world. And so what I'm saying, ultimately something comes like this. I don't think they expected this kind of defense and attack, whatever, resilience from the Iranians. They have been prepared for a long time, and the consequence is really dire, extremely dire. Probably the beginning of the fall of American empire.
So, we keep escalating, and the Russians have been very cautious, actually. They have not responded in kind, and they have not given anybody targeting information in the UK, as far as I can tell, or Germany. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
This is currently the top selling wallet. It's nice and compact. You can still fit.
The answer is drones. I want to make a fundamental point here, which is that if you look at Moscow, look at Tehran, look at the Palestinians, they've all come to the same conclusion. There's no point in negotiating with the United States.
I just want to put a little bit in here because I think that's the international feeling at this point. America is a bully. We're bullying everywhere, especially the Biden administration. And then this administration came. First America, this is not about First America. This is about destroying America, to my understanding. First America is by respecting other nations, by respecting other societies, by respecting rules of the law, by respecting the United Nations, by respecting the other organizations around the world. We already have so much problems, but this kind of bullets, the amount of damage done in Palestine, I'm not going to get into the subject matter, but we saw it though. Like, without being neutral, we kept on pushing. And then Israel kept on pushing also. But the Israelis people do not want this kind of stuff. I don't think so, man. We see a lot of demonstrations in Israel also. People want to live in peace in Israel, but they have been denied that by Mr. Netanyahu, who's crazy, extraordinary dream that cannot be accomplished. You understand what I'm saying? Therefore, I don't know where we go from here on. It is very, very, very crazy situation.
Diplomacy is useless. These issues are going to be solved on the battlefield, on the ground.
Wow.
Or in the case of Iran and Israel, they're going to be settled by the industrial capacities and inventories of weapons and defensive systems that each side possesses.
It's extremely sad. Diplomacy is not going to work. Wow. The power of the fist is going to solve the problem.
And it's very clear that, as I've said before on your show, the Iranians have adopted Muhammad Ali's strategy of rope-a-dope. You know, allow your opponent to punch you so and exhaust himself before you deliver a knockout blow.
Wow.
We just have seen in the last day or two the beginning of Iranian use of heavy missiles with warheads of around 1,000 or 1,500 kilos, depending on how they're loaded, aimed at Israel. And these warheads, these missiles, are extremely hard to intercept. And they have clearly saved these. These were in storage. I think what we're seeing is a very clearly articulated, phased strategic plan on the part of Iran, in which each phase makes the success of the next phase more likely. And we're now in a phase where the reserved, most destructive weapons are beginning to be used.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, they've got another missile which they plan to use, which they have not fielded yet. That's according to the Israeli intelligence.
Well, no matter where we're going to go through this, the situation, I look at it from our president's state of mind too, man, that egoism. That's what I'm saying. Superiority complex. I'm not going to be defeated. I got to go all the way. You understand? I don't think anybody can stop Donald Trump. But it's the U.S. government in general, the Congress, everybody gets involved and do something about this anarchic leadership in the White House.
Which is quite fearful and has put the entire air defense system in Israel into its...
Check this out. He's going to tell you very important information right now, how they decapacitated the entire surveillance system in the Middle East.
Most intensive mode in anticipation of an attack by this so far undescribed new weapon. So I think, this war is proceeding along the lines of the war last year in terms of exhausting Israeli interception capability, American interception capability. And here it's notable that on the very first day of the war, Iran took out the radars for the Theater High Altitude Air Defense System took out the radar in Qatar that
Oh, that is $1 billion worth. $1 billion. They destroyed it with chip drone.
Was basically the means of controlling the entire airspace in the region.
America cannot do anything without that. Yeah, that's true.
And has been very carefully focused on specific targets. They've even named them. They are now striking at the Israeli submarine force. They're striking at Unit 8200, which is the signals intelligence and the computer digital command structure in Israel. They're hitting the Israeli high command, and they're aiming at the defensive infrastructure radars and that sort of thing. They have not yet, contrary to what might have been expected, as far as I can see, emulated the Israelis and the Americans by attacking civilian structures. They seem still to be focused. Whether that's because they're simply rationing their force or because they quaintly adhere to ethical standards is hard to say.
Well, I'll let you go at this point, sir, but this information is very important and it's so good that the Iraqis are not trying to destroy human beings. I mean, ordinary human beings, so they are attacking infrastructures inside Israel. That's what he's saying. And this is definitely good because we don't want anybody to get hurt in Israel or in Iraq. But ladies and gentlemen, the situation is this dire. The situation is this serious. There has to be a panic attack within the United States government and also the adventurous Netanyahu government down there in Israel, ladies and gentlemen, because the people are not peacefully living. People are demonstrating. They want peace. They don't have to fight with the Arabs like that. They don't have to fight. I don't think the Israelis won't go into different countries in the region, like what they're doing in Lebanon right now. This is just invasion. And how far are they going to go? Are they going to involve ground forces? Because the air is not going to work. They will exhaust them. And how much munitions have the Iraqis have? We're going to have to see how it's going to go. But so far, I think the American strategy and the Israeli strategy are not working. And Russia and China are benefiting from it. How it will influence the rest of the world, we're going to see. I'll let you go at this point, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I'm trying to introduce my English channel. I will show you right here. And I will post this one also in that channel, and please develop if you can. Just go there instead of watching it in this Tigrinya and Amharic channel. You can go to my Eritrea Here and Now channel. You understand what I'm saying? And that is the symbol that you see. Please subscribe and develop it. Slowly we can develop because we like to have integrated source of information. So, Eritrea Here and Now. Please go there, visit it, and enjoy yourselves with my son Jojo, my cat Jojo. I got some of his stories, times and lives of Jojo Abraham. Ladies and gentlemen, I love you so much. And go there and subscribe. Eventually, my English work is going to be in this channel.